Okay, we are going to continue the adventure today. And this time, we're going to use this as our treasure map, which is information I received during a very interesting remote viewing session. Now, before I go into the data, I want to remind you that when I do these remote viewing sessions, I do them blind. So that means I have no idea what I'm looking at. All I receive from my teacher is 6 numbers, and she has assigned an experience to those numbers, but I don't know what it is. And what I do is open a channel to listen to my subconscious, which has access to the information grid, which is kind of incredible. And then I have to work out what my subconscious is trying to communicate to me. And then once I've received all of the data and the session is finished, then my teacher reveals to us what we were looking at. And for this one, the experience was President Eisenhower gets lassoed at the 1953 inauguration while Vice President Nixon laughs. For this session, the information of the experience came through really loud and clear right off the bat, which sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's really foggy and unclear what it is I'm looking at. But this was crystal clear. And I wrote down here, it's a politician on a podium giving a speech. I could hear the national anthem, there were flags, there were trumpets, and I could hear the military planes overhead. So that information, I was kind of proud of myself when I found out at the end what the experience is. Like, yeah, that was a hit, yes. But what was really interesting is it started getting this clear information. Then I got a really sharp, fast zoom out. And all of a sudden, I was way above the Earth, looking down on our beautiful planet. So I got a story of where it all started. And it started long before humans even walked this planet. First of all, I got this download of a poem or a riddle that talks of this ancient story.
In the tomb thou shalt seek the answers to the cosmic clue. The two will clash, the thunder will crack. The truth is there for those who dare. We have no choice, the time has come, for you will hear the beat of my drum. From the edge of time, you will not see the paradigm. I am here, do not fear. You will seek, and I will appear. This is not fact. It is the story of opposites attract.
So what's interesting is the last line in that poem about opposites attract. This was the reoccurring theme in my map, and one that is mirrored in what we see in the world happening right now. And the tension of the opposing forces clashing, like these two goats that I've written underneath here in this pyramid form. Clash of the titans, competition for centuries. And these are like clash of the gods, cosmic alliance, brothers coming together, butting heads, which made me think about the story I discovered in the last video where I looked at the Anunnaki beings and how they are our ancient ancestors. And in those ancient clay tablets that were discovered in Mesopotamia, when they translated those tablets, there was a story about 2 Anunnaki beings who were brothers. And they were assigned to be caretakers here on Earth. And this is the story that is still playing out right now in our world. So let's have a look at who these 2 brothers are.
Enki and Enlil were brothers, part of the ancient Anunnaki beings from the planet Nibiru. their father assigned them both to take care of the earthly realm. The two brothers had very different personalities, and they were given very different roles to play here on Earth. Enlil was the caretaker of the sky and the solar system surrounding our planet. He operated through authority, command, structure, and control. Enki was the caretaker of the Earth itself. He operated through creation, wisdom, and the nurturing growth of life on this planet. Because of these differences, the two brothers often clashed. And so, long before the creation of man, an ancient feud was already in motion, a friction born not from hatred, but from polarity.
Okay, I need to jump in here because I've got an idea. And if this idea lands, then it's going to bring this whole thing together. Now, I want us to take a look at how humans and the human psyche is wired in a very particular way that I think is no accident. So humans, we have a default setting that we will prioritize an environment or a pattern that is familiar, even if it's unhealthy for us. So then when we think about the story of the Anunnaki beings, I talked about it in my last video, how they came to Earth before humans and they needed workers here on Earth. So they used the DNA and the genes of the hominins that were walking the Earth at the time and combined it with their own DNA to create a human working slave. And they were very careful in this process to create a being that was intelligent enough to independently do the work that they needed here on Earth, but not intelligent enough that they will rebel against them. And I feel like this is where this default setting has come from. Let's take a look at this human psyche, because I feel like we all know this one. For example, relationships or a work environment that is not healthy for us. We're not happy there. We're not thriving. But people stay in situations they know are damaging simply to avoid stepping into the unknown, which feels really scary. We all fall into routines of compliance so easily, and stepping out of them somehow feels dangerous. But this is an illusion. Day after day, grinding ourselves into roles, identities, and systems we know are draining us. But these systems feel tolerable just enough for us to endure and somehow just put up with, until the tension builds. As you can see in this map here, the tension building, the tension between those two opposite forces, the pressure reaching critical point until the situation we are in becomes so unbearably painful that we can't take it anymore, which is what is happening right now. It's like here in my map, the lightning flashing, the two sides clashing, like lightning forming when two opposing charges, positive and negative, intensify. Energy is stored, not released. And the longer the tension is sustained, the more powerful, destructive, and painful the release becomes. And when it finally happens, boom, crash, crack, the spell is broken because it interrupts the unconscious, monotonous routine of compliance that we have all been under. It wakes us up from our collective slumber. And this is where the next section of this map comes in. For what wanted to come forward was this beautiful, wise old tree. And she had sacred feminine energy. And she was so peaceful and calm and emotional, but also very strong and grounded. And she was telling me that it's like she's looking at her two sons. And she showed me, because I have two sons, and she said it's like watching them fighting. And as a mother, you want to try and get in between them to stop them from fighting. But at the same time, if you do that too much, they will never learn the skills they need to resolve the conflict, and it will just keep going. And she explained that this is what is happening right now. And the tension we're living through that is escalating is bringing the most profound learning and growth. And this buildup of tension that will enable the release, which will bring the ultimate transformation of humanity to a brighter, better future on the horizon. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the treasures we found in this map today, and stay tuned for the next adventure. We'll see you then.